turn your brain on for a 10-second turbocharge and think for a minute. How would you raise awareness on your campus about the US national debt? I want to hear what you guys came up with. Make sure to tweet us at UpToUsNews and let us know. Our teams this year came up with some really amazing ideas that blew us away. I'm just going to give a few examples. Arizona State University invented a game called Who Wants to Be a Trillionaire? Claremont Graduate University had a national debt carnival. Penn State did a music video and rap parody of Save That Money by Lil Dicky. Jackson State University had a debt funeral inspired by a New Orleans jazz funeral tradition. Ohio Northern University had a national debt halftime show at a basketball game. Tusculum College had a Wheel of Fortune or Debt event. And finally, McClellan Community College had a beach-themed display with the words, "Kelp, we're sinking in national debt." And there are many more ideas and examples that I don't have time to list. Michael Peterson will talk about the first place team in a minute, but I think all the teams did a really awesome job. Thanks to all of our student leaders who participated. Thanks to the amazing Net Impact staff that made this program such a success. Thank you to our judges, especially the very busy Chelsea Clinton. And finally, thanks to the Peterson Foundation for your vision and a commitment to grow and improve this program every year. If you want to get involved and be the voice of your generation, join us for next year's competition, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at UpToUsNews to stay engaged. And if you want to learn more about how Net Impact is working with students on other issues like racial equity or food systems or climate change, you can check us out at netimpact.org. And now I'm pleased to bring to the stage Michael Peterson of the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, President Bill Clinton, and the winning team from William and Mary.
Wow, this is definitely the biggest crowd I've ever spoken in front of, so let me start out by saying hi, Mom and Dad, who are tuning into the live stream back at home all the way in Virginia. Also, let me start out by saying thank you to President Bill Clinton, Michael Peterson, and Miss Liz Ma. What an honor it is to be sharing the stage with the three of you. Me, along with my team, are privileged to be here from the College of William and Mary in Virginia. The College of William and Mary, apart from being a mouthful to pronounce, is an institution steeped in tradition. We have educated US presidents as well as key figures important to the development of our nation. So, as an aspiring medical professional, throughout my college career, I was taught how important it is to have the medical knowledge to be successful in my future career. But what isn't emphasized as much, and what leading up to us has taught me, is that awareness of fiscal issues is so important, not just to the healthcare profession, but to many other professions as well. We need future teachers, doctors, musicians, and accountants, and people from every profession to be aware of our nation's economic challenges. This is how we sought to engage our students at our campus by personalizing the issue of such an abstract concept such as the national debt to their very own goals. However, we recognize that the conversation regarding the long-term national debt cannot exist in a vacuum. We knew that we were in a unique position to bridge two populations, that being the current generation of millennials and our current leaders right now. As the pioneering Up to Us team at William and Mary and advocates of our generation of millennials, we took advantage of every single opportunity that we had, whatever opportunity came our way, to whoever would listen. We spoke to our teachers, our administrators, we spoke to high-ranking military generals and defense professionals, and even spent an entire day lobbying our elected officials in General Assembly in Richmond, Virginia. I can't conclude without a set of thank yous. I would like to thank the Mason School of Business and the fellows and staff at our Office of Community Engagement who were incredibly instrumental in us spreading awareness. Finally, a huge, huge thank you to the rest of the Up to Us teams and team leaders who are out in the audience, so please give them a huge round of applause for all their hard work. With efforts like ours and many more, hopefully our millennial generation can have a strong and powerful voice in the critical issues shaping our nation. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Peterson from the Peter G. Peterson Foundation.
Well, thank you. I also want to start by saying hi to my mom and dad. Never a bad idea. Let me start by thanking all the teams that competed in the Up to Us competition this year. This nonpartisan program included more than 70 teams across 28 states. Thanks to the hard work of young leaders like you, we engaged tens of thousands of your peers in a critical conversation about the fiscal and economic issues that affect your generation. I know it was tough for Chelsea and the other judges to pick a winner this year, but they chose an exceptional team. The William & Mary team ran a truly multi-dimensional campaign. They used a range of methods, including classroom visits, social media, a campus radio show, and even a meeting with the Virginia governor. They brought together campus political groups from across the spectrum to discuss the national debt, and they called it the Great Debt Bait. They even held a Dance the Debt Away event to relieve some of the $19 trillion worth of stress about our national debt. They convened millennial innovators in healthcare, education, and defense to discuss how a strong fiscal foundation is essential to funding research and innovation. And the team also made their own mascot, a life-size cutout of Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean, except they called him Captain Jack Barrow, or alternatively, Johnny Debt. I thought that was pretty good. But I think they got the most attention when they hung what appeared to be dollar bills from trees around campus. Upon closer inspection, their peers relearned the painful lesson that money does not grow on trees, and they were actually flyers for events and facts about our debt. So congratulations to the William & Mary team on your success and all these great ideas. Before I close, I just want to reiterate why this challenge is so important for everyone in this room. Just to explain, our country is on a dangerous fiscal path because of three simple things. First, the nearly 80 million baby boomers who are just beginning to retire, which creates a huge influx into the retirement system. Second, longevity. We're all living much longer than we used to, which is great, but it means we will spend more years in retirement. And third, healthcare costs. Unfortunately, America has one of the most expensive healthcare systems in the world. So that as we grow older, we access an inefficient system that strains the federal budget. The perfect storm of these three drivers, plus an inadequate tax system, essentially puts us on an unsustainable fiscal path. And it's not a partisan political issue, it's simple math. So just think about it. With all the budget priorities that we now have, do you know what our fastest growing federal program is right now? Interest expense. In just 7 years, interest on the national debt will become our third largest federal program. And it's on track to become the single largest program by 2040. So what does that mean? It means less money available for key programs from education to investments to the safety net. And it probably means much higher taxes on top of that. So while the national debt affects everyone, it's your generation that has the most at stake. The budget decisions that we make today will impact the opportunity that you have to succeed in tomorrow's economy. Our growing debt will affect everything from finding a job to paying off loans to accessing capital to start a business or buy a home. Let's just look at student debt, an issue that many of you here I'm sure can relate to. The average student debt balance is $27,000. And compare that now to our federal debt, which is today about $40,000 per person in this country. And if we keep running these deficits, it's on path to more than double in the next 25 years. So even though you don't receive a bill every month for your share of the national debt, it's a real obligation and a serious threat to your future, and we must address it. We simply won't be able to invest in your future if we're dedicating more and more resources to the past. So the good news is that there are many available solutions, and I just want to thank all the UpToUs team for spreading the word about them during this great campaign. So this conference is an amazing illustration of how young people are innovating new approaches to a range of pressing challenges. And as the UpToUs teams demonstrated, your generation has a powerful and essential role in this discussion. So if all of you get engaged in these issues and make your voices heard, we can ensure that our country remains a place of dynamic economic growth, innovative problem solving, and economic opportunity for all. So I want to thank CGIU and President Clinton for their partnership in this effort. President Clinton was the last president to balance the budget, and he often speaks out, he often speaks out about how important it is to bring us together to solve this problem once again. So, Mr. President, we're very grateful for your commitment to these issues and all you're doing for young people in this country and around the world. So, President Bill Clinton.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you, Liz Ma, and our partner Net Impact. And I want to join in congratulating the team from William & Mary. It is one of America's most historic institutions of higher education, but I'm glad to see this remarkably diverse group of young people thinking about the future. I want to say just a few words about this. I love this competition every year because young people have the biggest stake in seeing that America has long-term sustainable shared growth. So most every young person in this audience who's a citizen of our country, for example, favors dramatic efforts to reduce income inequality, but also doesn't want to have sustainable debt, which means you either have to ask higher income people to pay more money, or you have to cut spending on something else. We need to start this conversation by recognizing, first, when you go through the crash we went through, the annual deficits and therefore the national debt will climb. You simply cannot avoid that unless you want huge-scale misery once interest rates drop below inflation. Even if you have no inflation, interest rates have been virtually free. But it is a fool's errand to think that the debt still won't have to be repaid someday and that it has to be managed. One of the things that I was glad to hear, and that just when I followed every solution that all the students have recommended over the years we've been doing this, and in your talking about it, and Michael pointing out that because of the aging of the baby boomers, I'm sensitive about that because I'm the oldest of the baby boomers. I hate it, but it's true. Is that we have to manage healthcare costs. And secondly, we can't stop investing in our future. So we have to find ways not related so much to the government, but a little bit to help manage the accumulated college debt and then to reverse it in the future. And I believe we're all going to be forced, not just in the United States, but in other countries, to at least make a serious commitment to manage all of our current expenses on a balanced budget, almost no matter whether whether the economy is growing at 0.5% or 3%. And it would be a good place to start. It's an important discipline for managing health care. In 4 of the last 5 years, the United States has had the lowest health care inflation in the last 50 years. Nonetheless, it has still exceeded, even in the good years, the general rate of inflation. We know what to do about this. We know if every single American were enrolled in a health care plan where they paid a flat fee, so all the providers made more money when they kept people healthy instead of treating them when they're sick. When they managed overall health care instead of charging by specific procedures, we know we have enough evidence to know that if 100% of us were in those plans, there might actually be whole years when the aggregate cost of health care would decline or be stable. We know that when people live longer, and this is a big deal, this is a high-class problem. Particularly as you get older, it looks better and better, this problem of living longer. But there are a significant percentage of you in this audience, a significant percentage will live to be 100 years old. or longer. What you want is mobility and lucidity. And the explosion in the replacement parts industry for people is now outstripping the replacement parts for automobiles. That's not a bad thing. The revolution in human genomics and the unbelievable announcement this last year, which to those of us of a certain age would have seemed inconceivable even 5 years ago, that the National Cancer Institute will stop funding all cancer research based on where the cancer is located in the body and shift all the research to what's in the genome. So that both trends of curing cancer, that is, trying to find a genomic bullet that will go in and kill tumors when they're microscopic, maybe even submicroscopic, or they will trigger reactions in the human body that will allow the body to destroy tumors the way it destroys individual cancer cells today. Every person in this audience has approximately 10,000 malignant cells in your body every single day, which, thanks to the miracle of evolution, your body has adapted to destroy. So we're going to get there, but we'll never get there if once the economy starts growing again, and I believe we are just this close to seeing a significant uptick in economic activity, then interest rates will start rising, whatever the government does. Once that stops happening, you have to deal with this. So this is really a high-class problem. It will get worse because we're living longer. It will get worse because the economy will grow. But we can't pretend it's not a challenge. And therefore, when university teams like this team with the Peterson Institute, and I want to, since Michael said hi to his dad, I want to say hi to his dad too. He's a wonderful man, nearly 90, still young in mind and heart, more worried about your future than our past, which is the ultimate test of the value of old age. Do you worry more about young people's future than our past? So this is a great day. It's an important part of CGIU and asks you to deal with challenges for which there are no perfect, that is, no pain-free solutions, but ones which are clearly better for your future than other alternatives. They were 17th in this competition this year. They have partnered with hundreds and hundreds of other people, as you heard in your great remarks about all the people they interviewed. And just knowing that you're thinking about it, working on it, and that we're trying to raise the awareness of what the trade-offs are is a great thing, because it shows in a starkly different way. One of the things we're trying to help for all the international students here is for everybody to think about the intersection between the government, the private sector, and the space you're now occupying as non-governmental actors trying to do public good as private citizens. There's hardly anything more good you could do than to figure out how we can invest what we should invest in avoiding the worst ravages of climate change, in leading the world toward a cleaner energy future, in building a modern infrastructure that will allow the poorest of our people all to access the education and economic benefits they need everywhere in the world, and doing it in a way that manages the debt burden so that we all don't wind up in the kind of fights we've seen that our friends in Greece and other places have had to face. We cannot let that happen everywhere, and we need to help Greece, Argentina, Puerto Rico, and every other place that's dealing with it work their way out of the debt in a way that does not discourage people in loaning money to responsible borrowers in the future. We can do it, but not by pretending it's simple, just that it's possible. Thank you, and good luck.